Please, a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for a lady who has been here quite a few times before, Michele Abbate, who was here last year, who's a professional racing car driver and part of the Dirtfish Women in Motorsport program now. Please grab a seat, Michele. I'd like to introduce a lady whose name often gets confused, all the way from Ireland, and also representing Dirtfish Women in Motorsport, Aoife Raftery, who has been competing in rallying since 2021. And I would like to introduce our youngest panelist, at just 18 years of age. She may be young, but she is mighty in terms of what she has already achieved in her career. Please, a round of applause for Lia Block. I did not expect these chairs to be quite as comfortable, but I think I am here for the day. Ladies, welcome. Michele, firstly, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
You were part of the event last year, as Josie mentioned, in the tent, which we all loved, even though, you know, it wasn't heated, we loved it. It was a great crowd last year. But this arena, fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I don't have a beanie on for once in Washington, which is really pretty cool. But no, this is amazing. Thank you to the LeMay Museum. Gosh, I'm just so excited for today.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great day. Question for all of you girls, because, you know, we've got quite a few people here who will be starting their journey in motorsport. Young women here today, young men here today who are starting their journey in motorsport. And I want to know from each and every one of you, and I'm going to kickstart with you, Miss Block. I want to know the first time you got behind the wheel of a vehicle, because you have an incredible motorsport family. And I'm imagining you very young behind the wheel, and we have confirmed which vehicle it was earlier today. Tell everyone your first experience behind the wheel.
My mom had to actually go through the camera roll and go all the way back and see what I actually drove for the first time, but I think I was about 2 years old, 2, 3, and
2 years old behind the wheel. Two, ladies and gentlemen, let's just confirm that.
Yes, it was actually like a John Deere, like, I don't know, not a tractor, but kind of like an ATV thing, and it was like fully plastic, probably went like 5 miles an hour, but there's so many pictures of me just driving around my house in the grass, like whatever, I was wearing a tutu or something like that, you know, so I've kind of always, you know, been in it, especially from 2 years old, but yeah, it's a weird first vehicle for me to drive, but we got up from there, I think.
I mean, Lia, being surrounded by motorsport for your entire life, I think my earliest memories of meeting you, you were this high in WRC service parks, coming with your father, Ken, soaking up all the atmosphere, you know, later on with, you know, all of the family Block would travel. What are some of your earliest memories of being on those WRC events and seeing everything that was going on?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I've been in it since I was born, so like flying all over the world, and maybe I don't remember much of it up until I was maybe 10 or 11, but yeah, just I loved cars, and I think I remember the most of just bringing my Lightning McQueen little toy car and like just driving it over everything in the service park, and just, you know, hanging out, going to and from the stages with my mom, you know, and it's just been such a big part of my life, and it's basically where I grew up, was service parks and, you know, just being in and around race cars. So it's literally in my blood, and probably all of that exhaust is in my system and will be forever.
Was there ever, you know, growing up surrounded by motorsport, you're traveling, you're seeing exactly what your dad has been building all of these years, naturally we would all expect that you would be drawn into this motorsport world. Was there anything else on the horizon ever for you, Lia? Did you think, I want to be an astronaut maybe, a scientist, I don't know?
I don't know, I think as a kid you go through a lot of different phases, and I for sure did, but I mean, I tried a lot of different sports. I did basketball, tennis, like skateboarding. I did a lot of dance, random things throughout my little childhood, but it always came back to motorsports, you know, and maybe I didn't realize it at the time when I was, you know, 8 or 9 years old, but I always had the Hot Wheels cars. I was always fascinated with it, but I think I kind of just wanted to try a little bit of everything else to make sure that it was what I wanted to do. And yeah, that's been the only path forward ever since.
Aoife, what about you? Because maybe you've come to rallying a little bit later than certainly Lia did, doing her first rally at 15 years of age. You were a little bit older, but competition and rallying has been in the blood of your family, your father, your brother as well. What inspired you to get behind the wheel?
Yeah, I think definitely wasn't as young as Lia before I got behind the wheel, but when I was 20 years of age, I was just saying I wasn't quite as young as Lia when I started driving, get behind the wheel of a rally car, but initially, I was very lucky to have the gateway of having some family involved in motorsport, and I used to travel and go to all the rallies, but growing up I played other sports as well, and that was my priority when I was younger. And then I actually co-drove first, and after I did a couple of events co-driving, unfortunately COVID happened and it put everything to a stop, but in that time in the co-driver's seat allowed me to see what the driver does, and it kind of gave me the belief that I could definitely give this a shot, and that's how it started.
Competition, though, has been in your blood, hasn't it? Not just for motorsport. I was doing some research on Aoife, and I read an article from the Galway Gazette from a few years ago, which told me that Aoife was training to be a professional. We're going to call it soccer. It's football in the UK and Ireland, but it's soccer here.
It's actually soccer in Ireland too.
Oh, is it soccer?
Yeah.
Oh, so pardon me, everyone. It's soccer in Ireland. So, your need for competition was obviously there through your teenage years. So, why are you not kicking a football around now? Because you could have been earning a lot of money at this point in time, Miss Raftery.
Spending a lot less too, but yeah, growing up I always loved sport and competition, and it's something that I really enjoy is the competitive side of sport. And I had a couple of injuries and typical knee surgeries, so that put me out for a while. And there was a very high risk of it happening again. So I stood out from that, what I was used to playing for a year. And then I was missing the competition side of it. And it's kind of how the co-driving side came into it. And I said I'd give it a go. And then actually after the couple of rallies that I co-drove in, we were over at the European Rally Championship in Canaries, and when I was over there I seen the drivers and the work that's put in behind it and everything, and I just seen such an amazing opportunity with it, and it gave me a really good insight. Obviously following it growing up, it was fantastic, but I had a Fiesta or two, a 1.6 front wheel drive car before I went to Canaries, but when I came home I knew that I definitely wanted to give this a go. But it took I think 8-9 months before rallies returned before I could actually get back out and give it a shot.
Michelle, what about you? Obviously, these two rallying and racing with you. Apologies for that, everyone. But you were very different. Obviously, it's road racing, it's circuit racing. Michelle was showing me pictures earlier on of her driving a truck at NASCAR, which I absolutely loved. But nearly 15 years in competition, Michelle, it's a long time. Yes. How did you first get the bug for it? Where did it come from?
I started as a spectator, actually. I was about 6 years old, and my older brother, Michael, was racing go-karts all across the nation. So I started as a spectator. I always wanted to be a driver because I always wanted to do what my brother did. So whether he was skateboarding or whatever, I just loved what he did and watched him progress and saw, him work hard and do really well. And I just was like, man, I really want to give that a shot. But unfortunately, I didn't really get into it until I took it in my own hands to do it with the car that, my first car, and I was 16. So I was surrounded by the sport as a spectator for a long time. I mean, for about 10 years, never really having the chance to get into a go-kart or do any of that. But I got to kind of watch my brother and see how he was taking corners, and he was really good. I mean, he was the first American to be sponsored by Red Bull, and just it was a phenomenal race car driver. And so, a little bit different approach and definitely a late start, but I'm really proud of where I've gotten to in my career, and I like to share that, it felt impossible. So if you're out there and you're aspiring to race cars or rally or anything like that, I think I'm kind of living proof that, the sky's the limit, and it's a lot of hard work, but if you really want it, you can find a way to get there.
Talk to me about, when you are getting into the sport. I think what a lot of people maybe from on the outside looking in, a lot will understand, a lot won't, that it's not easy. Sponsorship, getting sponsorship, acquiring sponsorship is a major part of it, as well as showing how incredible you are behind the wheel. You have to be the perfect package. You did a degree in marketing. Would you say that what you learned there helped you go out, be able to market yourself? Because effectively you're selling what you do to get sponsorship on board. Did that help?
Yeah, so heading into college, all I wanted to do was drive race cars. That was like my dream. And so I'm like, you know what, I need to figure out how to get the dollars to do that, and yeah, so obviously my passion and my motivation in college was to get through school. I actually tried business first. I did a business degree, and marketing was definitely where it was at. That was back in 2010. So it was before kind of Instagram and all that kind of exploded, so I didn't really know what I was preparing myself for. But yeah, absolutely. I went to UNLV, I graduated with my degree in marketing, and I had this amazing professor that allowed me to create a resume based off of racing. I had to try to explain to her that this was the job I wanted. You were supposed to create a resume for, your dream profession. And I was like, am I allowed to do racing? Is that a real job? And yeah, so of course, yeah, just getting that backbone of marketing and understanding the metrics behind that, and just what the important things are that are important to the companies that you're approaching and things like that.
I think it is really important, and Michele will answer any questions with regard to that if anyone has any sponsorship questions and how to promote yourself, because it's such a fundamental part of the sport. And Lia, you're a different generation. You're the young generation coming through. Aoife, not that you're not young, okay? And Michele, same, but I feel I'm in a very different generation to you guys. Lia, when you were really getting started, when you were karting, when you were 11, it sounds like the horn of the Titanic, doesn't it? That, or some kind of, maybe not the Titanic, it's a bad reference, but you know where I'm coming from. When you were starting in karting back then, were you very focused? Were you driven with, okay, motorsport is the absolute direction for me?
I mean, to be honest, yes.
Yeah, good, be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I started when I was 11 in off-road short course, and that's kind of where, I was given the opportunity by my dad, and I was given a car, and I ended up liking it, so I kept wanting to do more. Unfortunately, that series shut down, so I had to go to karting, and I did that for a couple of years, but I don't think there was ever, a doubt in my mind that's not what I wanted to keep doing, I just, every time I was on track, I love it, and I have so much fun,
Yeah.
And to be my job now, I'm living my dream life right now, it's so, fun, and I think that's the biggest part, and that's why people are drawn to motorsport, is because, yes, it is so difficult, but when you get everything right, it's so rewarding. So for me, it's just like what you were talking about with the sponsors and followers and stuff like that. If I didn't have to be on social media, I wouldn't, to be honest. It's a lot of work, but I really enjoy it sometimes, But in this day and age with social media and it being so big, you can be a very talented driver, but if you don't have the money and people behind you, there's no way to make it to the top, really. So it's now almost 50-50 in a way, on social media versus your actual driving on track. You have to find those sponsorship dollars to be able to go racing. So it's a big part of my world currently, and I mean, sometimes I still do struggle, finding those dollars to be able to go race, and especially now where I am, in the European F1 world, it's expensive to go racing, I don't make any money, I just go racing, all my money goes to the racing, and that's what I love, so here we are. But it's just, it's the way life is now with the social media and everything, and it's important, but it's very hard.
Funnily enough, that is a line that Michele said earlier. I don't make any money. I'm racing out there, and it can be like that. It absolutely can. Talk to me about the switch, because I think we all want to know. We saw you with such success in rallying at a very young age, 15, doing the Oregon Trail, then becoming the youngest champion in two-wheel drive in America. That was sensational. What a season for you. And now we see you in a completely different discipline. And you're only 18 years of age. What an opportunity, Lia, you've had in the past few years. And what was the decision to make the switch from rallying to where you are now in F1 Academy?
Yeah, I think when that was announced, I think a lot of people were very confused, myself probably included. But to be honest, yeah, I mean, obviously growing up in rally and doing it for so many years, and then winning the championship 2 years ago, I didn't really know where to go after that, to be honest.
Okay.
And I'd done a little bit of karting, but that was about it in the circuit racing world. So it was kind of an unknown area, and I feel like if I hadn't taken that opportunity, I didn't want to leave that as an unknown, and I didn't want to not do something, and maybe that was, my purpose in life, and I would have loved that way more than rally, So to have Williams Racing reach out to me and ask me to represent them in F1 Academy, I feel like that was like a golden ticket, that is an opportunity you don't get, and to be able to work with F1 drivers and the whole team at Williams, I wouldn't trade it for anything, even if I only do it for these 2 years and come back to rally. I think the things I've learned, the people I've met, it's so valuable for me, and to learn a different type of motorsports and how it works, compared to rally, and how I can use that maybe in my daily life, or even when I come back to a different series or whatever. I've just, learned so much, and I feel like for me, it was such the right time in my career, and I'm still so young, that traveling the world and never being home, it's a great time to do so.
Yeah.
So I've had so much fun, but it's been very, very difficult, because I've kind of had to scrap everything I've ever known with rally and off-road and all of that, and kind of rebuild, and I felt like a baby, and I felt so, scared, to be honest, because I didn't know much of anything about F1 or open wheel, so it was difficult for me mentally, for sure, especially coming from winning a championship, and winning every race. It's hard to go to the back of the field and have to build your way back up, but at the same time, I think it's been great for my character and developing as a person and a driver, so
Yeah.
it's been, really valuable, and I've had a lot of fun. There's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of tears, but we're getting somewhere.
Well, that's a good thing. And like I said, it's such an amazing opportunity. When it was announced, I think my heart broke a little bit that you were leaving the rally community, but we're also keen to see how far you can go, what you can do. And it's really, really exciting to see what you're doing now.
Thank you.
It is. No, it is. I think do you not think it's exciting? Yeah? Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely it is. Can I ask you, the three of you, a bit of a mentality question? In terms of when you're in competition mode, which you all are on a regular basis. And I'm drawing from something I read about the lovely Michele Abbate here, where she described herself when she's on the track, she's got her helmet on, she becomes a kind of a different persona in a way, and she described herself as Cruella de Vil, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to me about that element of putting the helmet on. Talk to me about Cruella de Vil first and foremost, Michele. Where did that come from? Do you have to harness a different persona when the helmet goes on? Do you become a completely different competitor?
Yeah, so the reference actually comes from a race that was held at Pacific Raceways in Kent, Washington, a long time ago. I had so much emotion and passion, I just almost lost my mind because this guy spun me out twice. I got to the lead, he spun me out again, and it was just I was total Cruella de Vil, driving with anger, emotion, passion, so frustrated, and looking back, because that was 2015, I have learned so much since that time, but my reference is, the fact that motorsports is really hard, even just to get into a club racing perspective or a regional event, and then you work so hard to get there, and someone can just take that all away from you because that you're in their way or they're impatient, and so with the last 10 years of driving in a professional series and things like that, it's now more of a calm state. So yes, I did used to say Cruella de Vil, but now I use it as a teaching standpoint, because had I known in that race, if I could just bring myself back, get dialed, put your head down, and just drive, which is what I did, and I ended up winning the race, so it was great.
There we go.
But Yeah, you kind of have to have elbows out, you know what I mean? And I think all of you guys up here can agree that you have to kind of stand your ground and have confidence in your abilities. Otherwise, you're kind of falling off the charts a little bit, you know what I mean? And typically I race in the Trans Am series, which is a very iconic road racing series in the States. And I was the only female to do that in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and that is so sensational that you were the only female to be able to campaign in Trans Am, which is, as you say, it's iconic. I mean, do you feel a sense of satisfaction that you've achieved that?
A little bit, but it's sad. You know, I want more women out there, you know, but if what I'm doing is helping that happen, which it is, there's another woman, Mia Lovell, who's made her debut this year, has had a little bad luck, but is a very fast woman and has the experience and the time and the money to pursue herself in the career. So I'm a big fan of her and hope to race her soon. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough funding this year to go back to Trans Am, but I'm working on 2026. So I think to answer the question shortly is just, you know, you have to have the confidence to be out there, you know, and remember that you deserve to be out there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be type thing.
Yeah, of course. You've got to know Josie mentioned this right at the top. You've got to know your worth and have that confidence. What about you two? Putting a helmet on, Aoife, do you turn into a different person? Because Aoife's the friendliest, loveliest woman I think I've ever met. She was helping deliver all the coffees earlier on. She didn't have to do it, but she was there. Do you turn into a little bit of a beast when the helmet comes on, or are you cool, calm in competition?
I think that I try to be very focused and clear-minded when I'm going into the stages. I think if you ask maybe my co-drivers, they'd have a different opinion of what I'm like on the stages. But you know, they see the passion and the raw emotion when you're on the event and you're in the stages. But yeah, the mentality and the focus and concentration you have to have is so important. And I think you know, coming up to before you get to the start of the stage, you're gearing up and putting on your helmet and your gloves. And at that time, I think, you know, you've done all your preparation. You need to be in a clear state of mind and to be focused. And one good thing about rallying is you're not depending on the other drivers impacting your race. You're racing against the stopwatch, which is very good from that point of view. So it's just you and your co-driver against the stopwatch. And you know, once the helmet goes on, you know, the concentration and the preparation and everything you've done is coming down to that. And you have to be so focused on delivering and doing the best you can that, you know, your mindset and preparation comes down to that.
And Lia, for you, what a contrast, because in rallying, you've had your co-driver alongside you, and as Aoife said, it's you guys against the clock, and now you switch to being in the car very much on your own, but you have people all around you. That's so different. How have you dealt with not having someone by your side, first of all?
Well, it's kind of a luxury in a way, and I'm glad we don't have open mics because my engineer would not like the words that I'm saying sometimes. But to be honest, yeah, just like, it's so different for me, the way that my mindset and the way I am in a car rally versus open wheel. Especially when you know, it's you against the clock, it's you and your co-driver, you know, it's very, just like Aoife said, very focused and calm, and that's how I felt the entire way, like the last season. Like, it's about finding your rhythm and staying in it, you know. Some people call it the white space. It's like a point of relaxation where your body just takes over, you know. You're not even thinking, you're not even hearing the notes. It's so smooth and so calm. Contrast to that, now that I've done open wheel racing, where another driver can absolutely ruin your race for you in the first 5 seconds, which happened to me in Miami. It's very difficult, and emotions can run very high. So for me, I think in this past year, I've really had to learn how to balance that. And sure, your emotions can definitely help you. Maybe you get really angry and things just pop and you're going super aggressive and it works out, you know. But sometimes it doesn't, you know. So it's about balancing that emotion and how you prepare yourself to get in the car. It's been really important for me to have a specific routine, even from the time I wake up, what I eat during the day. You know, what time am I getting in the car? What time I'm even going to the bathroom before I get in the car? You know, it's all down to the T and how you prep to, you know, put that helmet on and go what you need to do on track. So I think it depends on every person, you know, and for me it depends on whatever race, whatever situation I'm in, you know, what do I need to turn on to, you know, do my best. So, yeah, you don't want to hear some of the things I say in my helmet, but sorry, guys. It's just, yeah, it's hard when, for me especially, when you have, you know, other drivers that can impact where you finish or how your race goes, you know. So that is one thing rally does a bit better than open wheelies. You don't have that. But I think they're both so different, and I have a lot of fun, but, you know, it's different, and you have to figure out what works best for you.
Yeah, I think you really do. Can we talk a little bit about representation? Because it is fantastic to see 3 women who are behind the wheel on the stage right now. Everyone, yes? I mean, we need to see more women represented in competition, more women across the board in every area of motorsport. And it is changing. I see a change from when I started working in the World Rally Championship to where it is now. Certainly just from a journalist perspective, there are more women journalists than there were back then, but I see it in different areas. For you, Lia, you are right now part of it, you know, F1 Academy is all female. How important is that, do you feel, in terms of representation?
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, and most of us, we grew up in a motorsport family, so we, you know, saw it from a young age. And I think that it's so important nowadays to have that initiative, you know, to have that more representation, especially like F1 Academy and everything that WRC is doing with Women Driver Program and even Dirtfish, you know. It's about, you know, showing those little girls that maybe don't know much about motorsport that it is possible, you know, that you show them that there is someone that is doing it so you can pursue it as well, you know. And I think back to like maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I started karting, I was, I think, the only female in the entire series, which is at my local track. And now I go down there and there's like 3 or 4, you know, but it's going to take time, you know. But I think all of these initiatives, small or big, like, they help tremendously. And if we can just keep this going, I think it just starts from a grassroots level, you know, getting young girls into karting or small grassroots levels of rally and rallycross. It's just so important to have, you know, that female that's kind of, you know, driving the way and being in front of the spotlight for things to change.
Yeah, it's still everything, it's changing, but it's changing slowly and still more needs to be done. Aoife, sometimes we see you on rally events in the European Championship and it's just you, or sometimes there's 5 or 6 women drivers, which is great to see, and it must be so encouraging to see that.
Yeah, it is definitely. I think, you know, in the European Championship, we're not seeing so many women drivers, but we're definitely seeing an increase in women co-drivers. But I think, as you said, you know, the initiative to try and encourage more, to get more drivers at that level is really important. But it starts at the base level and getting more into entry level, as Lia said. So, you know, I think, especially in Ireland, I can see the increase in female drivers at that level. So it's just to show that there's support and encouragement to build it up. And you know, it's such a privilege that I'm working with Josie and Dirtfish as their Women in Motorsport driver program. And again, that's just another example of trying to, you know, show and promote what we can do in motorsport and what we can do in rallying and the different disciplines. It's so vital that we have the support there, and days like this to really encourage it.
Yeah, absolutely. Michele, looking back to 2011 when things got kick-started for you, how would you say women were represented in the sport that you were heading into at the time?
Yeah, honestly, I never really paid attention to it. Maybe that's because I was with my brother and my family, and I just knew it's something I wanted to do. But like thinking back, I was just sitting here thinking, like, did I ever see any girl drivers when I was at my brother's races? And like, I don't think I did. No. But I didn't really notice that. You know what I mean? And it's really neat now because these conversations are being had a lot more often about it. But yeah, I would say obviously now there's a lot of women women go-karters. First of all, just getting started in those routes, and that's really great. And I just think it's more of, you know, they always say like, if you can see her, you can be her type thing. You know what I mean? And I didn't really have that during my career, but it didn't really withhold me. I never acknowledged it until like you hear it, people say it like, oh, you know, how many girls do you race with? And I'm like, oh, there aren't any other ones, you know, or whatever. So it's almost like that mentality of like focusing on those things when you're pointed out, you know what I mean? So I just saw myself as a racer. I didn't really like consider if there was other women there or not.
But that in itself is a good thing, and that's the point we're all trying to reach, where it's not such a thing, where, you know, no one says to you, oh, wow, you race cars, oh my God, it's amazing, but you're a woman. We want to get away from that. And I think that's still a long time to come, but it's the fact that it's purely an equality thing, which we all want to be on the same level, and no one really point out that there's a huge difference, because when young women are in the cars, it doesn't matter what sex you are. You're competing against each other. It doesn't matter.
I think that's one of the coolest things about motorsport as well, is that it doesn't matter. You know, where you look at fighting, or you look at swimming, or you look at pretty much almost any other sport, and it does make a difference. Of course, women aren't as strong as men physically, but we can control that. I'm in the gym 5 days a week. I'm trying to make sure that like any competitive edge I can have, I'm working to control that, you know, and in motorsports, that's like my favorite part about it is like, it doesn't matter if you're in the same class or not. Of course, we can divide, you know, and if we wanted to, but I love just being able to race amongst everybody.
Talk to me about role models and who has really, truly inspired you. And it might not be someone within a motorsport world. I mean, my ultimate role model, personally for me, is my mother, who just inspired me on so many levels. But I'm guessing it's going to be a motorsport influence for you girls. Lia, I think I probably know who yours was, but you can tell us.
Well, I would say first and foremost, my mom.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, she was racing when she had me and my brother and sister, and I feel like because of her and seeing her in a car with rainbows all over the side of it, it never gave me the doubt in my mind that I couldn't do it, and I think she kind of, she really pushed me, and always supported me in whatever I did, whether that was motorsport or whatever other sport that I tried. But of course, my idol, Michele Abbate, she was truly a trailblazer, and I didn't learn about her until I was a bit older, so she wasn't part of like my childhood fantasy, but to learn about her story, and but I think first and foremost my mom, and of course my dad.
Of course.
But they're who I grew up with, that's who I saw, and I think that's why it influenced me so much.
Your mum's here today, the lovely Lucy. She's always in your corner. I've got to ask you, Lia, though, there's got to be moments over the years where, you're a teenager still. Have there been some big fallings out? Have there been some ruckuses over what you're doing? Have you pushed her buttons a little bit too much? Has she pushed yours?
I'm her child. Of course I've pushed her buttons. Not too much, though. No. Well, it's mostly just the fact that I have to get all A's or I can't race. So there's that big one. Thankfully I have. I'm still here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But actually, yesterday was the first time she's sat in a rally car with me. She has refused to until then, and I think the only reason she really got in the car was because it was a school car and it didn't go that fast. So, but maybe I gave it a little extra beans for her. But it was quite fun.
Aoife, what about you, role model-wise? Who's been your inspiration, your biggest inspiration?
Yeah, I think it is a typical answer to say Michele Abbate, but it's the truth behind it. And I'm in the rallying world, in the rallying scene, and it's what I've been trying to do the last few years, and what I'm continuing to try and achieve what I can in rallying. And looking up to Michele Abbate, she's the only woman to ever achieve what she did at such a high level and winning world championship rounds. I don't think there hasn't been anybody since. So it's of course to look up to her and see what she's achieved in a more difficult time as well is very incredible. So yeah, that would definitely be my role model.
Yeah, I always remember, the stories Michele tells, and she told some fantastic ones last year at the summit, but always about, the photographers telling her to smile, which really got her goat. And I think we're all the same in regard to that. Come on then, Miss Abbate, what about you? Who's been your true inspiration?
Honestly, it's my brother. Growing up, we always had the smallest race trailer. We had like a little 10-foot trailer, and you've got guys with massive trailers, and like my brother never had a driver coach, and he just continuously always was on the podium and winning races. And I'm sure the majority of the people here don't know, but my brother was recently killed by a drunk driver, and so unfortunately I've been impacted by that quite a bit, and I've come to realize that like how much influence he had on me and my career, and just how important he was to me. So it's a little tough for me to talk about, but yeah, he definitely was amazing behind the wheel, and he could just say like, give me, you know, a little toe out and I'll go 3/10 faster, and like he could do that. And I still aspire to do something like that, because what a talent to be able to feel a car like that, drive it, and then just at a young age of like 16, like, you know, Lia, just being able to like, yeah, if you just set this up a little bit better, I'll go this fast. You're like, I wish I could do that. So it's definitely my brother. He's an amazing driver.
I wonder what the thoughts would be with regards to you taking a little few steps into the rallying world now. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's an exciting prospect.
It is so exciting, and so off the wall for me. I mean, I've been surrounded by the tarmac driving, as you guys call it, and man, I came to Dirtfish in 2017, had no idea what I was getting into. I got a nice little invitation, actually from a women's program, so it was pretty cool, before it was an official thing, and came here and kind of just like, I was like, I could do that, whatever. Like, this is gonna be easy. Like, I don't know, I just dismissed it pretty quickly. And I didn't get a lot of the program because of that attitude. Came back in 2023, several years later, after competing professionally for several years, and I came and I was like, oh my gosh, teach me how to do this. Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I didn't understand. I had all these questions, and I had such a better experience at Dirtfish because I wanted to learn rather than like having a chip on my shoulder and trying to be some badass race car driver, right? So, any word for anybody out there that's looking to go to Dirtfish, don't go there thinking you know everything, because you won't get anything out of it. I did mistake myself. But yeah, so looking to the future, I'm very excited to continue developing in the rally car. I've gone to Dirtfish just about every month. I've been working on some things. I actually got to give Aoife a ride yesterday, which was really scary. I thought she was going to judge me, but I think we did okay.
No,
so what did you
really
think,
good.
Aoife?
Yeah, really good. It was actually my first time in a rear-wheel drive car. So, no, it was really good, and it was a lot of fun to be able to be a passenger to Michele. So I think it's going to be very exciting to see Michele in the rallying world very soon.
Yeah, I think it is. It's such a vast shift, like for Lia from rallying now to circuit. It's such a complete shift. But you look really excited about it. There's a sparkle in your eye, I can see.
Yeah, it's just developed me so much more as a driver. And when I say things are slower in a rally car, I don't mean speed. I mean just the dynamics of the chassis, kind of with the weight balance and all of that. And it's really helped me on the road course as well. I mean, a lot of these things are actually similar, which it obviously doesn't look like it from the outside, but feeling the car and understanding what your braking is doing and how to release the front end to put the weight to the back of the car, all these things are relevant, and that's probably the most like fun that I'm having, is it's helping me in every dynamic of my racing. So.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what do we know when the first rally is going to be?
That, I think we're aiming for Tour de Forest, so we'll see.
Good. I'm looking forward to it. Any advice, girls, for Michele here? Lia, come on. I know you
take advice from me.
You've got loads of great advice.
Send it.
I don't know. I feel like it's just slowly building up in anything, you know? The worst thing would be to end your first rally off the road, you know? It's just about taking everything you've learned at Dirtfish, you know, and all of your prior experience and just using it to your advantage, but also knowing that not everything's going to happen in that rally, you know? So it's, yeah, just taking it really slow and slowly building up, you know? It's like the best thing you can possibly do. And the worst thing is probably to tank your confidence because you go off the road, you know? So, and just having fun because it's your first rally, you know? That's something you don't experience, you know, once in your lifetime. So, yeah, the funnest part of the rally, you know, is just like, you know, hanging out with everybody before you start a stage and then getting ready and then sitting on the line, you know, and then enjoying the roads and having fun in a rally car, because that's why we're all here, really.
That's a great piece of advice. That's the best piece of advice. Have fun, you know, enjoy it. What is the best piece of advice you've ever had, apart from obviously Lia Block just now? Best piece of advice anyone's ever given you in your career?
I guess, honestly, be yourself, because I always felt when I was younger, I always felt like I had to like perform a certain way or talk a certain way or or whatever it may be, your cadence and things like that, and honestly, it's just so much easier just to be yourself and be authentic, because if you're not, then you don't even know who you are, and you're just trying to be somebody you're not. So it doesn't seem motorsports related, but I think that's okay, because honestly, that's the biggest lesson I've learned is just be who you are, and if you're a good person, good things should happen to you. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Aoife, what about you?
I think for me is, as we're all here from our own hard work and our own dedication and commitment to the sport, but from advice from someone is probably to have the patience for it to come together. In motorsport, there's so many factors that, you make your own luck, but sometimes other factors can get involved in it. So it's to have the patience for it to come together and, keep working away, even if it doesn't go right for a number of rallies in a row. It's just to keep working at it, and it'll come together eventually.
Yeah, it's a good one. Patience, something I don't have a lot of. So I could never be behind the wheel. I would be a disaster. Lia, best piece of advice you've ever been given?
There's a lot, honestly, but I think one that I use the most in my career is like looking at something from a bigger perspective. It's so easy for me to get caught up in what I'm doing wrong and the little things that happen, instead of looking at, okay, what are the little things that I did improve on, and what happened that was good, and look out at a bigger perspective and look where I'm at versus where I was, and having that perspective and not dwelling on too much of what's happening and what's wrong, instead of just, seeing how far I've come.
Guys, I'm going to throw it out to some questions from the audience. We have the lovely Sandra here, who has a microphone in her hand. If you have any questions for our inspirational ladies here.
Please put the hands up. Come on.
Please raise your hand. Oh, there we are. We've got a few hands already. This is a good start. Go, 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 Sandra.
Hello. Thank you, ladies, so much. My question, and you touched on this a little bit with F1 Academy, is what role do you think segregated female driving spaces should or do play versus, because of the machinery, things being equalized between the genders? Would you like to see more all-female grids, or would you rather be competing with the boys?
Great question.
I mean, for me, I would say, we have the initiative like F1 Academy, which is technically all female, so it is a specific series for females, but I think that is playing a role in only bringing females into the limelight, and giving us a platform to portray our talent in so that we can find, i.e. sponsors, or just get recognized as a driver to be able to be better prepared to go into the bigger series like FRECA, F3, F2, whether that's Rally World or Rallycross. It's just giving us a platform to develop as a driver in a safer space, to then be able to go on and have better success. So I don't think that there should ever be a women's F1 or a women's rally. There's no need for it, because clearly it has been proven that we are equal in a car, and yes, maybe you can talk about how physicality can come into the F1 world, but if you work hard enough, it is possible, it's not yes, it's a hard thing, right? But it's hard for men. There's so many young boys that go into karting, then into F4, that don't make it to FRECA or F3. The pool gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and that's why the pool has to start bigger in karting for females. But I mean, it's a fact, that it is possible, and there's no reason that it should be separated. So I think those series are just platforms for females to be able to, learn and improve on their way to those next steps.
Yeah, it's a great answer. Aoife, Michelle, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think for me as well in rallying, it's, the good part of it is that we're all competing equally against each other in similar machinery, and that's you're racing against the stopwatch, and the stopwatch doesn't know what gender you are. So that's, what I really like about the sport, but I do think that the gateway to try and get more women involved in motorsport is really important, and if is coming to the F1 Academy, giving a platform to allow these women to continue with their career, and given the opportunity, then it's vital as well to have that as part of the, to be able to continue that development in that program.
Yeah, I agree with everything they're saying, and I just will share a little small tidbit from when I was getting into racing, and there's a sport called autocross, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's a ladies class, and that's what I was always entered in. And then like one day someone's like, "Why do you run ladies?" And I was like, "Because I have to, because I'm a lady." And they're like, "No, you can run the open class." And I was like, "Oh," and like I had no idea. So kind of the total opposite, where I thought I had to run in ladies, and then turned out I could be in the open class. So just kind of funny to share that.
Yeah. No, good. Thank you for that question. That was great. We have another here, another hand at the front. And we have one over there and one in the middle as well.
Thank you. You have all mentioned the need for sponsorships and how fundraising is a big part of what you do so you can get in the car. You've got a whole bunch of consumers, investors, business leaders, and industry leaders here. I'm wondering what advice you can give to us so that we can create a marketplace for you so your sponsors are more willing to take your calls and say yes to your request for sponsorship.
I guess I'll take this one. Yeah, so any opportunity to present, yourself as a driver is huge. I think that the disconnect comes, at least in my experience, comes from like drivers not understanding what a company might need, right? So I always say like, if a driver's approaching a company, like you need to do your research, first of all, if you're not familiar. It's not just like, hey, we're gonna put this big sticker on my car and you're gonna give me a big check, right? I wish it worked like that, but it doesn't work like that. So from a driver perspective, like do your research and see what that company's looking into. Are you their demographic? Are you using their product correctly? Like what are the reasons behind that? And then from like a corporate side, looking for maybe a driver, I'd hate to say the word influencer, but typically that's where we fall, is in the influencer category. And yeah, it's kind of mirrored to the same thing, but make sure you're getting value out of your partnership. Admittedly, I have several contracts currently, and some of them don't require me to do anything besides put the sticker on the car, and some of them have an extremely detailed program that I need to give, meet the deliverables too. So I think it's a mutual understanding of just what the expectations are on both sides, and that way that's clearly laid out for each side. So I think that's kind of what your question was, right? Maybe just like how do we help, but like how do we also have the value from yeah, well, I think it's getting to know us, first of all, and then having those conversations. But opening up a platform to, and even from a marketing perspective, like in a general position from a company is, who you're looking for, why you want them to represent you, and why they're a good fit. Sometimes it's location, sometimes it's demographic, like I said. Sometimes it's just a matter of like, hey, you have the right amount of followers, so things like that. But yeah, if you're interested in helping me, you can come see me and I'll chat with you.
Form a queue, everyone. Form a queue. That's the way to do it. I saw other hands. I know there was one. Oh, there's two over there.
Hi, I just had a question for Michelle. Are you taking co-driver applications by chance?
Yeah, I think I'll be doing that.
Another great question.
Yeah. I don't have one on board just yet. So yeah, talk to me or Josie. We'll maybe we can do something fun with that, actually. So.
What would you be looking for in a co-driver, Michelle?
Make sure I'm on time. No, really, really great attitude. I think is a big one. Being, that we mesh well. Maybe some experience in the sport since I don't have much. But really, I think it's about the attitude and coming at it with a good perspective of just what the possibilities can be.
So are you putting yourself forward for that, yeah? Yeah, okay, there we go. That's the first one on the list.
I think it's so cool because we haven't touched on it much, but our co-drivers are such a big part of our career. And we would be nowhere without them. We'd be lost in the woods and in a tree. So, but for us, our relationship with our co-drivers are so important because we are trusting both of each other with our lives, And to be a rally driver and to have that kind of relationship with a co-driver is
so unique, and I think it's something so special we have with our sport, you know, and it's another way that we can get more women into the sport that's a bit more accessible, right? It's a bit less money. You actually get paid for it, which is quite fun. But I mean, I was just wondering what you two feel like. I mean, obviously you have a co-driver as well. Like, what is that relationship like, and how did you develop it, and what do you feel like when you guys click in a car?
Yeah, I think it takes some time to build that relationship and really trust each other. You are putting our lives into each other's hands, and I know I couldn't do the co-driver's job, and the co-drivers I have admitted they wouldn't want to be a driver either. So it comes like that. But I think the trust is so huge, and when it comes to stages, you're really driving to what they tell you. Like if they get it wrong or if we get it wrong, the consequences are, we depend on each other, and the trust is so important. But yeah, I know I'd be late to everything. I'd have lost everything without my co-drivers. So
You co-drove for your brother for a little bit, yeah?
I did. I actually co-drove for my dad for a rally.
Okay, so how was that relationship though?
I knew no better, and I knew nothing at the time, so it was it was fine. He still likes to wind me up about it now. But yeah, going back, I don't think I'd be able to go back and co-drive. Just from, you feel in control of the car when you're in the driver's seat, but ultimately the co-driver has just as much control in the car, and they determine on how fast you can take a corner, and your braking points. Everything is down to them, and their timing of the delivery. So
yeah,
it's incredibly important.
They're a special breed, co-drivers, definitely.
I'd just throw up.
Did you ever try it?
No, I wouldn't.
No, flat no. Right, there were more hands. It's another. There's 4. Where's Sandra? There she is. One at the front here, and then we got 3 over there.
Hi. This question is for Michele. Knowing that you had issues with getting sponsorship for your asphalt, or your tarmac, as you called it, car, do you think you're going to have an easier time finding sponsorship doing rally?
That's a good question. So thankfully the partners that I currently have, they've been like, we're behind you with whatever you like to do, which is really pretty special. But yeah, sometimes like twisting that story a little bit, having a new perspective can help maybe pitch, the event or the series that you're trying to race in. For me, I think it's exciting. I raced Trans Am for 6 years, so it's kind of like the same story over and over, right? And so I always wonder if maybe that's why I've lost a little sponsorship, because they know what to expect, they've seen the events, all of that stuff. So yeah, I think there could be an advantage there with changing my career path a little bit, and also it opens up opportunities for maybe new companies that might have, some interest in rally rather than being on a road course. So yeah, I hope so. That'd be super cool. I'd like a little help, so.
Our next question. We've just got one just behind, and then we'll come to you.
All right. Hi, Elias. Well, thank you so much for doing what you do, but I have, a great question here. I think one part of the rally community and one part about being in rally is obviously the accessibility to it, and that comes with the cost and the expense of getting everything together. And so I'm curious of how you guys use your platform to promote accessibility, especially for women in motorsports.
I'll go. Well, I mean, to be honest, for me, I'm kind of in the thick of my career, and I'm very young, so I'm just hoping that I'm being a good role model for young girls and people that are looking to get into rally. But obviously, rally, we have a really unique thing where you're able to be a volunteer. You're able to be in the event and right up close, and I think that is the best way if you're looking to get into rally and motorsports in general, is to go, volunteer and learn how it works and meet the drivers and meet people and get connections. It's so unique in the way that you can be so up close, unlike the world of F1 where you have to pay so much money to get into the paddock. It's a very unique thing. So the best part is just to be able to meet people who can hopefully help you learn what is the best way to get where you want to be, or learn how to be involved with the sport. You don't have to be a driver. you don't have to be a mechanic. There's so many different jobs that are within the motorsport umbrella in every sort of, type of racing. So it's also about showing that there are different career paths than just a driver or co-driver. There's so many different unique jobs that you can have within a motorsport series.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason that every job is available effectively. It all depends on what you want to go into. Anybody else have anything to add? Or there was a question right in the middle here, Sandra, sorry.
Okay. Hi there. Let's see here. I had to write down my question here. First, I just want to thank you guys for being here today. It's been an honor, honestly, to be able to hear your stories. But also, I think it was you, Michele, like you were saying, like, again, backtracking to the, like, finding sponsorships and stuff like that. I believe you mentioned something about you got an invitation to Dirtfish from a women's organization. Is that correct?
Sorry, could you just repeat that last bit?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just wondering, I think I remember what you said correctly. It's an invitation to Dirtfish from a women's organization or program. Was that?
Oh, the women in, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I have a hard time hearing. I drive really loud cars, so I was like, I have no idea what she said. So back in 2017, it wasn't like a formal invitation. There was a man named Jim Beaver who does off-road stuff. So initially, it was just like a quick, like 5 of us came to do this school. But now there's a bunch of women initiatives with Dirtfish. Are you asking for Dirtfish specifically?
Oh, this was like a question to a question, honestly. I was just wondering if you guys were like aware of a program. It's like the Women's Industry Network. It's more like auto collision, auto repair oriented, but there's obviously, a repair team you guys have to have. So I was wondering if if you guys were aware of that or anything.
Oh. I hadn't heard of it, no. I just actually recently partnered with a place called Collision Careers, and it kind of does that. So I'd be super excited to maybe make an introduction to what you're talking about, because to have more women in any of the fields would be great, especially collision repair.
Yeah, I had their little mission statement, so I didn't butcher it, but like their website is Women's Industry Network, easy to find. It's about attracting, developing, promoting women into collision repair professions across North America. And I actually won a scholarship from them. And so I was able to also get a tool set, my very first big tool set from them. It's been insanely helpful.
That's really cool, and good on you for bringing it up. That's huge. You're in front of a huge audience, and that was really, really cool to share.
I'm shaking so bad right now.
You did great.
You did really well. You did really well.
Come find me later, we'll chat.
Okay, we do have another 2 hands over that side. And there's one here as well. Oh, we'll come back, we will, I promise. Sorry, we're gonna come back to you.
A couple of you had touched on the physicality of racing. Driving any form of vehicle on any surface is tough mentally and physically. When it's come to your development and training and nutrition, has that been something that's sort of been on you to figure out, or is there inklings or brewings of development programs or academies that are looking into what females in motorsport need for the endurance and the strength component of it to be able to move into more classes?
Yeah, there's definitely support there now for being physically fit for the events. In the rallying, in the likes of the European Rally Championship, you have 3 full days of rallying. You've got your recce. It's a full week, and it's very intense. So both physically and mentally, you have to be very fit and prepared for it. But yeah, there's a lot of preparation that has to go into it, and a lot of training. I think everyone realizes how physically fit you might have to be, but the mental fitness as well is so important. And I know this year is my first year driving the Subaru STI, the Dirtfish Subaru, and even that car was a lot more physical to drive than it is to drive the FIA homologated car back in what I'm using in the European Rally Championship. And that was something new that I had to learn when I arrived here, was how much actually more physically you had to be with the car to get it to turn in and to get it to stop. And with experience and with the right support around you, you begin to realize the needs that you have to be able to perform at your best.
Okay, I know there was one more question over here. We do have one at the front here. A future rally driver right at the front, Sandra. Little girl in pink. Saoirse, I believe. What's your question, Saoirse? Ooh, hold on. Let's just do that one again. So how can you be a race car driver? How do you start? How do you get going? Because Saoirse has big plans. Big plans.
So I think number one is to follow your dream, right? So if your dream is to be a race car driver, you just focus really hard on that goal, and then everything that can affect that goal is what you do your best at. So that would be my advice, is to definitely follow your dreams, but I want to hear what they have to tell you too.
I think you're at a great age to start. You've got every opportunity ahead of you, and I believe you're 5 years of age, Saoirse. So, you're at the perfect age, and I think that you might be starting karting soon, and I think it's the perfect age to start and to develop as you get older. And if it's something that you really want, you will really work hard to chase it, and you can develop up. And if it's rallying or if it's Trans Am, there's so many different opportunities that you have ahead of you that you can make the most of. Another great way to get in is the Dirtfish Rally School.
When you can touch the pedals, though.
You are so on brand.
It's a fantastic way to kind of, I think, open your eyes to see, what's involved in a rally car and how to handle it on gravel roads, and it gives you the perfect opportunity then to understand what you're really getting into.
Lia, anything else to add?
I mean, they said it all, really.
Yeah, fair enough. Saoirse, we're looking forward to seeing you in the future, whether it be on a rally stage or on the circuit. Good luck from all of us. Okay, we have another question.
Hi, thank you. My name is Molly. Here's my question. We are all here. We've sold out this event. We're doing it. So what are the women in motorsports? What are we all waiting for in order to continue to steer the ship in the direction it's going? I mean, the panel is beautiful, but there seems to be almost a little bit of ourselves holding ourselves back in being adamant enough that we are doing this and it is going forward and people have this interest. So where do we continue to build that momentum to stay positive and stay strong and power through this and take those turns really hard and continue to drift through this powerful movement of women being a part of this industry? It's like we're not waiting for it to happen, it's happening. So where do we continue that momentum from all aspects of either being a fan or being a supporter or whatnot? And that's my question for all three of you guys up there. What do you need from us to feel supported to keep going forward?
Michelle, we're kickstarting with you again.
That's a pretty good question.
It's a deep question, and I like it. Well done.
First of all, I have to say thank you to Dirtfish, Josie, Women's Motorsport for putting this event on, because I think this is a really great starting point. I think selling every seat in this room is massive. I was so excited when I heard that it was sold out. Like, it's super great. But yeah, moving forward, I think it's just having the conversations and just acknowledging the wins that women have in motorsport, whether it be on the track or off the track or in engineering or even in media and promotion and things like that. I think it's really important to bring the attention so that people can understand and realize, like, we're making a difference and we matter and we're there. You won't find me always talking about us being disadvantaged, because I don't feel that's the standpoint women have. I don't feel that we're at a disadvantage. I just think that we need to earn respect, and when we get it, it should be celebrated in a way. So that's kind of my short answer. I just think that it's so cool to see this right now happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're saying, we're living it right now. It's happening. But to keep the momentum going, I think it's a matter of, you know, putting the right people in the right positions, and celebrating those wins when they have them, and then also, you know, not tearing women apart when things don't go correctly because they're a woman. Like it's sometimes that happens a lot, especially for drivers. If you have a crash or whatever it may be, it's oh well, the girl crashed, you know, and that type of stuff is so detrimental to women in motorsports. So I think it's celebrating the wins and just continuing to have events like this that bring us together and support everybody.
It's collaboration and communication constantly, I think, is really important, keeping everything going and keeping open pathways. Girls, do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, that was literally just a mic drop right there. You said that so well. Thank you.
Aoife?
Yeah, I think just being supportive and getting behind the whole program is huge, and you know, from a spectator point of view, showing the support, showing the encouragement from a sponsor point of view, you know, having the belief and the backing in the drivers to go and be able to give them the opportunity to be able to achieve what they can with their skills, and yes, it's everybody behind you that supports you. It's massive, and it builds confidence as well.
Okay, we are complete with our panel here. We are going to take a short break, and then we will be back with our next group of powerhouse women on the stage. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening so intently. And thank you very much to Michele Abbate, Aoife Raftery, and Lia Block. Thank you, ladies.